Content warning. This episode contains mentions of blood, dismemberment, alcohol and drug use, religious imagery, and crucifixion.
Welcome to Tablet, a micro RPG podcast. My name is Tim, and I'm one of the hosts and the editor of this production. Tablet is an excuse to get my friends Max, Matt, and Manny to play micro RPGs with me. We are all interested in game design as well as actual play, so each game will get a review at the end. Stick around and hear our opinions, as well as if we put the game back on the shelf, or if we would table it and play it again later. This week we are playing Hexingtide by Will Phillips.
Yeah, so we walk into Darla's.
Through the door.
Yep. You guys walk in, and it's early for speakeasy o'clock, but Darla's is always busy. Sometimes it's busy and there's everyone there trying to have a good time. Sometimes it's busy in that there's a jazz show going on. Sometimes it's busy in that they're cleaning up and getting ready. This is a mix of the getting ready and folks coming in to actually get some food.
Awesome.
It's one of the few times that music isn't actually going through the air.
Interesting. Do I recognize anyone in here?
The only person you currently recognize is Din. He's been the bartender for the last 3 weeks. Everyone else is new.
All right.
Ooh. Is that an unusual amount of turnover, or is that pretty normal around here?
It's fairly normal, I would say, right?
Quick turnover at Darla's, fairly normal. Because a lot of the time it's folks of the monstrous folk trying to get their feet on and then go back and live in the mundane world for a while longer.
Gotcha.
Rather than hiding in the sewers. Sometimes Darla actually has people that are specifically hired for the place. But most of the time it's a halfway employment house. Where like, hey, here's how you learn to interact with the way the rest of the world works, rather than whatever stuff you were stuck in for who knows how long.
How big is, you kind of shared a little bit about the vibe, but like how big is it? What's the interior sort of look like? It's
a lot bigger than most speakeasies. Okay. But it's
hardest, bigger on the inside.
Very much so. It's a warm establishment, brick walls. There's not a whole lot of decoration, but the people who are there actually enjoy being there.
I kind of imagine it, if this is okay, Matt, I kind of imagine it kind of like the opposite of like Goldfish, where like it conforms, it's always a small room, but like it's small based off of how many people are in there. So if there's like 2 people, there's like 1 table in the bar. And if there's like 12 people, it's small for 12 people, but it still fits 12 people. And so it's always like cozy.
Yeah, and if there were like 150 people in there, it becomes like a chain of rooms.
Yeah,
each of which are cozy and interconnected.
That's kind of like the vibe that I was going with.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's gonna quietly end up in future campaigns of mine.
Yoink and twist.
Yeah.
That's what she said. What kind of person is Den?
Din is going to be stuck here for a while.
No.
Din is fully horned and scaled.
Same.
And visibly monstrous. So he's not going to be able to pass for mundane with any kind of ease.
Right.
And that's why he's here, is like he's learning to try and practice holding himself correctly because his spine is all bent out of shape. He's got all sorts of... Nobody really knows what Din is. Din doesn't even know. But at the same time, it's a case of I'm here because this is something I want to go towards as I'm looking for answers and how to pass as mundane. I'm just going to learn more about being mundane while I'm here.
Cool.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, I think I'll go right up to the bar and I'll set my fedora down on top and says, "How's it going, Din? You know my drink by now, right?"
Slams down just a whiskey, no rocks.
Exactly.
Looks up, sees Rhett, takes that back and puts the water in place.
Thank you.
I,
Thank you, Den. Not before 7 p.m.
With a glare at Red, I slam back the water like it is a whiskey shot, and then I take my own bottle of whiskey from my flask, or I take my own flask from my breast pocket and pour it in there.
As you're reaching into your breast pocket, he reaches out, grabs the glass, fills it with more water, and puts it back.
God damn it, Dan. One of these days I'm going to get one over on you. You're looking good. Back a little straighter. How's it been? How you been doing around here?
Yeah, we've been doing. It's been interesting.
It looks like some of that pasta's cleared up too.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, it's good for you.
But haven't seen the whole gang in a while. How are things? What brings you all here? You're not normally together.
We got a case.
Yeah, we got a case. A real.
They have a case.
This one's along for the ride.
Case.
Yes.
It's your case too, Elisha. You're on the ride for this one, but it's your case too. Sir.
I have a case. I am now a private.
All right, let's all not get a big dick about it. All right, it is technically my case. And you all are like riding shotgun or what have you. But anyway, Den, do you know anything? Heard anything, or maybe in all of your years being alive, you know? You ever heard tell of a monster that eats heads and leaves bodies without blood in them?
Den's like, oh, that's me. I'm just kidding.
Come with me, sir.
Din's response is very much a, well, I mean, I've heard stories, I've heard tell. You're gonna have to be a bit more specific.
Well, see, this case is an unusual one. We have a dead body, which is not the unusual part. The body happens to be missing its head, which again is a little unusual. But what is the most unusual is that it appears to have been attacked by some sort of creature. There are puncture marks, slash marks all over the body. The head is currently missing, and the body is bereft of its lifeblood. In addition, where we have found the body, there appears to be no natural... it appears to be something of a dead spot, wouldn't you say, Rhett? There's no animals, no rats or cats or anything like that in alleys, and seems to be no spiritual energy around either. Is that true?
Indeed. Very bizarre.
And we're just wanting to know if you know anything that could cause those types of effects.
Things that cause those types of effects are things that cause fear. I'll tell you that much. But you said no blood and puncture marks?
No blood and puncture marks. And I know what you're going to say. You're going to say blame it on the vampires. But first of all, they get a bad rap. Because I have known my fair share of the undead. And some of them are stand-up people. Second of all, the head is completely missing. And vampires are usually pretty precise in their works. And they tend to leave the head attached and the person living so they can come back for seconds, so to speak. Unless there is another form of vampire that I do not know about.
There's lots of forms of vampires.
Well, I know that, but I don't know one of that.
The world is quite a strange place, yes. But to Mr. O'Neill's point, the manner in which the body was left bereft of its head and blood seems to suggest a particular disposition in the nature of the wounding that goes beyond mere simple mindless savagery.
What he said.
And Gab, I know you had a theory about, I'm sorry, what was it? Demon dogs?
It's either demon dogs or Rat King. That's where my money's at.
I'm leaning towards Rat King.
I'm leaning towards demon dogs.
I've never... Maybe it's just I'm a little excited. I haven't had the pleasure of fighting a Rat King. It does sound interesting. I thought they were completely fictional, but maybe not.
Okay, full cut here. A rat king is a
It's a
literal
real
thing.
Yes, but like they're not the size that could kill a person.
Yeah.
they're just rats.
Like they couldn't. They're just rats attached at the tail.
Yeah.
And like I assumed that we're talking about the monstrous version of that.
Oh, I thought Gab was like just full on inhabiting the bit of like a normal rat king, like with just normal.
Maybe
rats.
he is, and maybe we're talking about two different things.
I also like the idea of Gab thinks it is not just one, a bunch of rats tied together, but one incredibly large rat
wearing a crown.
consumed or made of multiple other rats in
Oh.
a swarm of rats in the shape of a gigantic rat.
So like a rat Voltron.
Yeah.
Okay.
like a rat spiders man.
This is now a thing. It was not going to be. It is now a thing.
We found the monster.
This is off stage. This
Yeah.
rat Voltron discussion. We are not having that.
Yeah,
in
no,
front of
the,
Oh,
you.
this is a long episode. I don't have to cut so much for time.
Oh my god.
No, the
So I'm telling you, Dan, in the future, in the magical world of the 1980s, there's going to be this thing called Voltron, right? Robots. So you don't know what robots are. Okay, so over in Germany right now, the cinema is exploring robots, right? And then that'll make it over here to the States. And so give it about 15 years, you'll know what robots are. And then you can wait till the 60s when Voltron appears.
You can't
Look
forget
back
about
on
the
this random
Japanese
conversation
influence.
in the 20s. Yeah, and Gundam, right? Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I can see into the future now.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
The power, I forgot
Let's
to write
bring
down.
anime into the 1920s.
Yes.
Fantastic.
All right.
Okay. Back in.
So cutting back.
We are so sorry.
No, you're good. No, I
So at this point, Elisha would ask if it's not ringing any bells with Din in particular. He knows that, given the nature of Darla's establishment, that she likely has a wealth of resources at hand, books, scrolls, other odds and ends that might provide some sort of resource to get to the bottom of what sort of being, creature, or ritualistic act led to this body in the alley. That would get us pointed in some manner of a direction that it feels like we're a bit listless on at the moment.
mm-hmm. Din's racking his brain on stuff. If anyone wants to make a roll to help him, that would change
Oh.
both what he's
I'm
willing to
kind of
tell you. and-
Tempted to potentially stick my nose in here. I think it might be possible for me to say something along the lines of, you've heard of this before and you remember it. And because my character can speak truths by saying, you remember this thing, he might just remember it now.
Oh.
That's a
yeah.
fancy
Ooh.
So I think that would be my power. So that is a +4 of Fallen Angel Herald that can speak truths. And then I would have to use one of my perils. Now, I'm not exactly certain how I decide which one is which.
The perils are... There's a page in the book that describes them.
Yeah.
So the danger peril is actions of risk, aggression, or stealth.
Mm-hmm.
The hardship peril, actions of guile or toil, and knowledge with, access to, or reliability of material items.
Mm-hmm.
Isolation, actions involving academic or esoteric knowledge, observation, and social interaction.
I think it'd be isolation then.
There you go.
All right, so I'm rolling a d12 +4. I've rolled a 6, so a total of 10.
And there you go.
Nice.
One of the nice things about why I call this a rules light, there's not like a dice pool or a sliding change. When you are making a power check, the goal is to get equal to or over 6.
Okay.
If we're doing a montage, the target numbers are 5, 7, and 9, but that's different.
All right. So I think the way this looks is Din is talking with Kevin about trying to remember these things, and then Gab just kind of leans around the corner and goes like, "Oh, come on, Din, you remember?" And like a series of like waves of like distorted light come out from his mouth and roll over our horned lizard friend.
Din is hit by memories he's been trying to suppress for years as you dredge up his worst fears.
Maybe.
I do remember.
Huh.
I remember 3 things.
Ooh.
One is one of the few times I've truly been scared. and it was with a newborn vampire. They had no control. It was all savagery. Their fingers were sharp. There was no intelligence beyond those eyes. It was just hunger. I only survived because I ran. I remember that somebody was in here asking for translation and showing a book, and that something about that book just... I did not like it. That book did not like me. It, just looking at it made my vision go swirly and colorful. It was not good.
Mm.
And the last thing is that Thomas Welch, the Duke of the Vampire's Court, he hasn't been seen in a couple of months.
Can you give us that name one more time?
Thomas Welch.
How long has he been missing?
Couple of months.
And is that something that those of us in the know would have known?
It's something that if you were connected to vampire society,
Okay,
then you would have known.
got it.
But nothing you guys have given me led me to draw that particular connection line.
Got it.
Fair.
Like, do you know it exists? Yes. Are you aware of the actual politics?
Sure.
Probably not.
Right.
And if he's a duke, he's probably been a vampire for a while, yeah.
Yeah, he's at least
Like,
as
is
old as
Welch-
Elisha. Thomas Welch.
Is he the Duke, or is he a member of the Duke's court?
He is the Duke.
Ooh, shit, okay.
That's all he says.
That's all that Din can remember.
Thank you, Din. I appreciate that.
Dan, thank you so much for sharing this. Do you remember the person who was in here with the book that made your vision turn strange? Do you remember who it was?
He didn't give me a name.
Okay.
He was a smaller man, not much over 5 foot. He was always walking with... He was wearing this dark coat. And had a silver pin on one side.
And how far back was he in Darla's?
He's been in and out a couple of times over the last month or so. But it was only last week when he was showing off the book.
Well, this was recent, was it?
Last thing he asked me is if I knew how to make more keys.
More keys to dials?
I think that's what he meant. I was
And
having
did
trouble getting a straight answer out of him.
And did you point him, or did someone here point him in the direction of a translator?
People do business here because they know they ain't going to be hurt. I just know he was asking.
You don't know if he found anyone.
Thank you for your trouble, Dan.
Thank you, Dan. That has been very helpful.
Pardon us, Din. We're going to have a little team scrum here. Gab is going to kind of rotate around to gather the I can count the 4 of us into a little huddle here. And
Before we do that, I would like to take the $2 from the body's
Yes,
wallet
we should tip him.
and put it and just like slide it over to Din.
I'm enjoying
Elisha
the amount of tip
immediately frowns. I mean, that's some substantial cash in the 20s, but frowns like,
for information
Mr.
like
O'Neill.
that, you should tip a lot higher.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and
How
like I also
uncouth to
bought,
tip.
attempted to buy a drink that got bereft from me.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
like, part of it's covering the
Keep-
lost alcohol.
Keep the dead man's money in his wallet, and he pulls out his money clip again and grabs a couple of dollars for an appropriate tip.
Aw.
I like this guy.
For Din.
Thanks, Elisha. So you take us aside.
Quick scrum, friends. Gabe's gonna kind of cuddle us up into a little football huddle and say, all right, so a thing that I'm thinking, I think we should go to the estate of that Thomas Welch fella, maybe track him down. Maybe he knows something about this.
Well, he won't be at his estate, but I think it's a good place to start looking.
Someone who might knows where he is might know where he's gone.
Do we know, is there like a place where vampires hang out? Like a different kind of bar, or like a place where the court would meet?
Oh, I know that place. Darla's.
Is it Darla's?
I mean, that...
Darla's is...
Oh, well, if it's not Darla's...
I should clarify. My accent's making things confusing. It's a... Darla's.
Say what? What were you saying, Will?
So if Darla's is not like the hub for all of the monster stuff, and the vampires have another congregating location, then that definitely feels like something I would probably be able to lean into with my web of contacts for, and hopefully roll better than a 1 this time.
I feel like they would probably have like a mundane bar, or like, you know how the mob just operates out of like
mattress firms and shit?
Yeah, probably something like that. Oh my god, what if vampires are the underworld mob?
So, that's pretty good.
They pretty much are.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are going around at night asking for protection money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean...
but Darla's is the neutral territory for everybody of the monstrous persuasion.
That's right.
Right.
So the vampires do not meet here. They don't air their interior business here.
They would have like...
They have their own place.
Werewolves or banshees or whatever.
Yep. This is where they meet to set up treaties between the tribes and the gangs.
Right. So do we know where... Does Elisha know maybe where the vampire clubhouse is?
Well, let's see what the roll says.
Clubhouse.
Not a 1. Not a 1.
Hey!
All right. I still feel like stuff's going to come to hit us hard, and I'm going to need to make some important checks, so I don't want to ramp up or dip into my grateful forgetfulness again. So I'm just going to roll the base +2, my web of contacts, rolling a d6. Yes, 5 on the die +2, so that's a 7.
Nice.
There you go. So with that, you do know there is actually there is Thomas Welch's house itself is that is the Duke's mansion. That is where the vampires hold their business.
And as someone of equal venerableness as the Duke of the Vampires, and with my web of contacts knowing that, okay, this is where they do their business, even though like I'm not part of that business, and we all know that he's missing, and now know that, would making a social call or even sending my butler to call on his staff to arrange something, is that a socially doable thing?
That is a socially doable thing. Even just dropping by unannounced would still be... It would be concerning, but it wouldn't burn anything social credit-wise.
It's not going to be on site if we roll up at this place.
Yeah. Nobody's going to get angry with you for showing up.
Okay.
With the way the social hierarchy works, it's... Yes, you're welcome in. The master will be awake in half an hour if it's before sundown. That kind of thing.
I suppose we should probably wait until after 9.
Yeah, it is different.
There's
and I imagine this is would be a scenario where Elisha is the golem who doesn't eat or drink things because he can't physically eat or drink things, and vampires who can't eat or drink normal human foods would have this great repast with all this, finery that no one touches.
Right.
But great aesthetics, right?
Very much so.
What are vampires like in this world? Are they accepting of like others in the monster community, or are they more insular? Are there any feuds we should know about?
The vampires are very, very good about keeping their feuds quiet.
Oh, okay. So
anything internal for the vampires is kept internal. If it gets out, the sheep might know. That's their entire shtick.
okay.
The vampires, as a mafia, on the other hand, they have their monstrous protection racket of going on. They have their spats. Sometimes the wolves get upset. Sometimes there's a sorcerer who rolls into town and doesn't think he needs to pay the protection fee. There's power shifts that happen.
Okay.
Both socially and actual power wise.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're not like necessarily walking into a dangerous situation just because they're vampires.
Correct.
Cool.
Well.
Yeah, well, I would offer that if we can get back in contact with Mr. Spielhofer, who I told to just wait in front of the brownstone until we return, thinking it would just be a quick jaunt over to look at this maybe or maybe not existing body.
Right.
But I could have Mr. Spielhofer make a call to the estate, arrange for us to make a social call on the current staff running the house while Mr. Welch is out, and speak to him regarding some potential overlap with the vampire community that they probably don't want getting out.
Yeah.
And I think we can frame it as we're doing you a solid quid pro quo sort of thing.
I think we should try to talk to the staff first, because if they are presumably human or a monster that can be awake in the daytime, then if we go during the day, we won't have the vampires like over their shoulder being like, you can't talk about that, so they might be a little bit more free. And like, we all know the servants actually know what's going on in the house. And if the vampires are like specifically like trying to hide the fact that Thomas Welch has been missing, we might get more headway with the staff. And then after dark, we could just hang out for the next half an hour. So I think we should do both. We should talk to the staff, but talk to them first during daylight.
Right. Like maybe we go with Mr. S and roll up at the location, check in with the, footman and butler and whatever.
Yeah.
And then hopefully come back later and...
Yeah. Like let Mr. S make the official appointments with like the head honchos while we're like, while you're doing that, why don't you come sit down here and talk to me?
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
Like the maid or the other butler or
That
whatever.
sounds good. I think we've got a plan.
Great.
Mr. Spielhofer drives up at a sedate pace, pulls in through the laneway, up to the entrance of the building. All of the lights are off at the Welch estate. You get out of the car, the doors don't open. Nobody answered the phone earlier, so now what?
Well, I think we should just head inside.
You don't want to knock on the door first.
Well, that's part of heading inside.
Clarifying question.
Answer.
When describing this, I am envisioning like an actual mansion of some description. Is that what this is?
That is what this is.
Okay, so we drove up some kind of like gated,
Yep.
kind of drive. Are there other, is there like a garage or other outbuildings? Like, do we see other cars or maybe even like horse and carriage for the fancy, people or anything like that?
There's no cars in the laneway where you pulled up for the actual entrance to the manse. The only outbuilding is for the house cars. The horses, if there are any, would have been kept in the back and out of sight from the front.
Okay.
It is still before sundown. You've got about 15 minutes before the sun fully sets.
Okay. Shall we?
And we knock on the front door, and there's no response.
Correct.
So, does it look like there, with the remaining light of the day, does it look like there has been dust collecting on the doorknobs and on the railings and everything in this kind of entryway to the mansion? Or does it look kept up, knowing that Welch has been missing for several months?
That's a good question.
The place actually does look much more kept up than a couple months would justify.
Okay.
Things aren't the sparkling polish that you've seen before. But it's not like, oh, the handle hasn't been turned since 7 weeks ago.
They're keeping up appearances. At least.
Well, if the Welch family is not at home, it appears the home is being maintained enough. I would wager that a short jaunt around the back to call on the servants' quarters might be worth the trip around the building.
I think that's a smart idea.
Agreed.
All right, let's go.
So taking the walk around the back, as you approach the servants' quarters, everybody roll a d6 for me. This is just so I have a number.
I rolled a 3.
Nice. I rolled a 1.
I rolled a 6.
Rolled a 4.
As you approach the servants' quarters, this hits you first, Rhett. Again, you're walking around a vampire's mansion. You should expect to see more spirits in the area, more dead people.
Oh, sure.
Because as far as I'm aware, you can't turn off your vision.
No. It's on at all times.
Yeah.
So this, oh my god. Okay, I might replay this. This
all of a
place
sudden
is like
you're
probably crawling with spirits.
It should be.
Oh, but it isn't?
No, it's not. The second part of it that hits you is as you get closer to the servants' quarters, there's a certain smell in the air. It's not good. Over the course of about 4 paces, it does hit all 4 of you. Rhett was just the first one to notice it.
What not good does it smell like?
There's a stench of rotting meat, but it's not a scent that any of you would be familiar with, but considering the refrigeration techniques of the era, you would all have some understanding of what rotting meat does smell like, and this smells slightly sideways from that. You're not quite certain why.
Do you guys smell that?
I do indeed.
Now I'm having to, meta-wise, I'm having to ask myself if a golem has working olfactory glands.
I was wondering the same.
Not even as a joke, I'm trying to think. Right?
Don't eat or drink. I feel like you can't smell.
Now, I have got lots of eyes, and lots of wings, and lots of rings, but I don't have a nose, per se.
The question is, well, the interesting thing about the fallen angel demon aspect of the way
I could probably smell.
You are a multi-dimensional being.
Yeah.
So to exist in this dimension, you have to exist as a human. So you have access to all the human senses in the way they're supposed to work. A golem, on the other hand, is a being created of clay.
Right.
So the real question is, and this is going to inform the answer of does it have working olfactory glands?
Yep.
Does a golem have to breathe?
I would say no.
Then
it doesn't need to breathe or eat. It can see and hear, but doesn't breathe or eat. So, I guess my question then is this something I smell from a mystical, otherworldly, sorceress human? So this is a physical smell.
This is a physical smell.
I do not smell. Yep. Yeah, okay. So Elisha would look around as everyone starts to, make these awful faces and be like, I presume you are smelling something through your noses.
Yeah. Something around here is dead. And has been dead for a while.
Weirdly, however, I should point out to all of you, I say, looking around, although clearly something has died here, or many somethings have died here somewhat recently, and many others have died, at least almost certainly in this building, before. It's a ghost town here, guys.
Like the alleyway?
Yeah. Yeah,
but
there's nobody here.
You were able to see a vision in the alley.
A little. An echo at best.
An echo.
But there's nothing. Nothing at all.
Can we tell where the smell is coming from?
It's getting stronger as you get closer to the servants' quarters.
Okay. I would like to take out a handkerchief that I
I'm gonna do
have
the same thing.
and like tie it around my face, or at least hold it up in front of the face. I probably dab a little bit of whiskey on it, hold it in front of my face as I go into the servants' quarters.
And as he is preparing to walk into the servants' quarters, would I be able to lean on my ability to kind of break off parts of my body and turn them into things? Because I'd like to just create like a hammer or a cudgel or a shillelagh, like some sort of something I can whack people with. If a nose plug. Oh wait,
What body part are you pulling off to make this? To make the cudgel?
I would like to reach in through my, unbutton my shirt and pull off a big hunk of clay from my torso to shape some sort of, the old-timey cops would have the short batons, like those sort of
the
things.
billy clubs?
The
Billy
nightsticks.
club.
Yeah, like an old-timey billy club sort of thing. Yeah.
I like that.
So,
A sap.
which one of my peril dice would I need to roll to create that as a power in this scene?
That is a pact, correct?
So my break off clay body parts is a power. And I'm looking but it's a niche thing, right? So I don't think I could use that power in a combat setting or in case things are about to get squirrely. And so I feel like things are about to get squirrely, like Elisha does, even as a character, as everyone's saying they're smelling rotting meat. And, even though he can't smell it, he knows that that's not what you want to smell in these circumstances.
And we're at a vampire's house, so it makes
Yeah,
sense
for sure.
reasons.
Yeah.
I would say this is a hardship roll.
Okay.
Because it's knowledge and access to material items, as well as the reliability of it.
Yep.
This
And
one,
I'm living the good life, so my hardship's at 6. So I might have
if you
good
haven't
intentions,
already
but
rolled,
haven't yet. Nope.
here's the deal with this one. I think you can do this without an issue.
Okay.
So what I'm looking for is the actual number you roll for how this cudgel is going to perform in the future.
All right. Let me give a roll. Nice. So 5 on dice, and then plus 2 from the power for a total of 7.
Okay.
Great.
What we're going to do
Better
with
than
that
the one I was rolling.
is we're actually going to turn that into a temporary power.
Okay.
You got the 7, so we're just going to give you a +2 cudgel for a temporary power.
Cudgel. Okay. Cool.
Basically turning it into like a weapon.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
It's only good for It's only good for this scene and the following one.
This scene. Yep.
But
Yep.
Seeing
Because I need to put it back in my body eventually.
exactly.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Going into this, while this is happening, and you guys are like hurriedly dashing back to the car and rifling through the glove box and all this kind of stuff. Something that I want to try and push, and I would be willing to pump a portent into this, is using my power of seeing beyond. I didn't do this back at the crime scene, but I might want to do it now, which is, can I push this power enough to figure out what maybe drove the spirits away? Like, does it have a residue or a vibe or a feeling? Is it that they were somehow killed? Is it that they're just gone? Were they afraid?
I like this. Which portent of yours are you looking to pump for this?
Well, I only have the one, which is my anxiety and possible anxious breakdown. So
Here's the thing for you.
Yeah.
Your anxiety is a 4, correct? The nervous breakdown?
I have it
Max.
here as a 6.
You have it as a 6.
So I only have the one.
Nice.
Okay. Seeing beyond is a +3.
3.
So, interesting tidbit for you. And this is just due to the way the math works out.
Right.
If you add 2 to the portent,
Uh-huh.
then you add 2 to your roll.
Uh-huh.
A 1 + 5 is a 6, which gives you the success.
Oh,
So
right.
it's a guaranteed success if you do that.
I'm going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't pumped in
Yeah,
any
that
portent so
sounds
far.
awesome.
So I'm going to drop a portent in there.
You're
And
racking your brain and as well
Yeah.
as examining everything here.
Yeah. And I think basically what you guys see is I take my glasses off and I fold them up and put them in my breast pocket and then kind of walk away from the group just for a second and like squeeze my eyes shut really hard. And as I'm doing that, I'm like clenching my fists. I'm squeezing my eyes shut really hard. And you can see my breath for a second.
Ooh.
And then I open my eyes and you guys don't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
But what do I get?
What you get is you're definitely noticing that the chemos of black bile is strong. Normally when you're seeing beyond, the colors are a lot more muted and like almost monochrome.
Right.
As you're focusing on this and trying to watch it, you're noticing that those colors become sharper. Like it's almost like watching a movie overlaid in your experience of a movie being overlaid with reality.
Mm.
And everything's starting to like the Technicolor is popping at just the weirdest moments, and like, okay, so that's something is really starting to tweak here, and it's very strongly in the black bile side.
Okay.
The next thing you notice is you're able to see a few more echoes, almost exactly like the ones you saw in the alley. And as you're watching that, you're recognizing that these echoes aren't moving the exact. Not all of them are moving the exact same way as the ones from the alley. This is when you're realizing that some of them are perfectly bipedal. And these echoes don't have the same color palette as the spirits you normally see.
So I see some humanoid figures on all fours, like I saw.
Mm-hmm.
And I see some bipedal, to my eye, maybe ordinary looking humans, but the color is off.
Yep.
Okay.
And keep in mind, this is
strong
all
black bile.
Yep.
Feeling. Okay.
Something. I'm trying to figure out how to explain this without just saying the answer.
Yeah. You don't want to just give it away. But yeah.
Because the effect you're getting is the thing that is keeping the actual spirits from appearing is black bile.
Okay.
The echoes are not necessarily being affected by it.
Okay. Yeah, so it's like the difference between like...
Are you seeing an entity or seeing a picture?
Yeah, at some point it was like a Polaroid got snapped and I can see the little Polaroid.
Yep.
But there is no person there or being there anymore.
Yep.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
I think I would find my wander back toward the group, and as I rejoin, I think the last of like the cold air kind of dissipates, and I think I would share that it was something strong and black bile and what I'd seen. One follow-up question. Sorry, how many total did I see in that echo?
The first one you saw was 2.
2 on all fours.
Yep.
And then the bipedals?
Oh, no. I'm talking about back in the alley. You saw 2 on all fours.
Oh, yeah.
Here? Countless.
Many.
They were flickering in and out, and they were all over the place.
Oh, geez.
Almost like they were pulsing.
It is that both, quote-unquote, normal echoes of normal people plus the strange bipedal, quadrupedal figures?
Echoes of normal people almost never happen.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That is something I will point out for you.
Sure. Okay.
Do you say anything to us?
Yeah, I would share all of that pretty much as I got it.
Seems like there are spirits here. They're just being hidden from you.
Right. And what could be so strong in black bile that it would do that?
Well, if there is a newborn vampire, what if the ones on all fours are the new vampires? Like there's something feeding off regular people. Maybe this Thomas Welch has been out there making more children and being somewhat of a deadbeat dad. Just letting them run amok.
Or the book that our scaly-horned bartender Din mentioned in conjunction with referencing the young vampire and the elder Welch. But that a book that glimmered and shined that we know that black bile manifests as well. And surely must be some connection.
Right.
But I cannot ascertain it.
I think there might be more to find out on the inside.
What, in here? As Gabe opens the door.
From the servants' quarters. Look, I found a journal that says exactly what is happening.
I found the book. Here's all the shit in it.
Oh, a confession by the elder Thomas Welch.
Yeah.
Written in his own hand.
No, just kidding. Did you go in?
Yeah, I'm opening the door.
Okay.
You go in. Aside from you, Elisha, for the other three, have you guys ever interacted with the vampires in person?
I think I would have had at one point a experience in Darla's where I crossed paths just in passing, like on the way to the bar, maybe, with a vampire, and it scared me because I thought it was a spirit, but it was like in real world.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
Because they're undead, they're deceased. And it scared me.
Oh,
but then I realized it was a real
undead.
person. And because other people could see it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I think I've probably run into vampires quite a bit.
Okay.
Sure.
Did you ever interact with Mr. Welch himself?
I don't think I ever interacted with Mr. Welch. I think that I probably, interacted with, the underlings of the Welch family. Like the bruisers and the people who collect on the insurance or the protection payments and stuff like that. But I think he's a little too high for me to have met.
Right.
I don't think that Gab would have spent much time around vampires. I think his daily routine keeps him out in the daylight, and then he reads all night.
Sounds good. Well, you open the door, takes 2 steps in, and instantaneously you can see exactly where that smell came from. There is most of a human corpse on the floor in the servants' quarters.
You say most. Does it have a head?
It's missing a head.
Oh.
It's missing...
I feel like there's an and.
It's missing one hand and the opposite leg.
Is there blood?
Not on the floor.
But that's similar to what we found in the alley, clothes are bloodied and...
Yep.
Do the wounds similarly look animalistic in nature?
Yes.
Okay. Ooh. Excuse me. One last question, maybe. We'll see. The body in the alley hadn't been killed where we found it. Do we see similar evidence of that here? Of it being...
Nope.
Okay.
This is the place where they were killed.
Yes.
Okay.
And sorry, missing head, hand, one hand.
And
Yep.
opposite leg.
Opposite.
And the remains of one person in this front room, first room, only room of the servants' quarters. Is the body clothed? And if so, what is it wearing?
It's wearing nicer style servants' clothes, which now that you see them, you recognize the same style of cut.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, I have a theory. But Rhett wouldn't think of it.
Fair.
Would you like some assistance with that?
No, I'm going to keep that,
Okay.
that
I'm
under my hat.
still not entirely concerned there isn't a ritual element to this, especially knowing that we have a book that needs translating. Interesting.
A grand house like this, it may have a library.
That's true.
I'm going to interrupt for a second. I think Gab is going to search around this place a little bit.
Yeah.
And if the body is not completely covered in gore, he's going to pat down the pockets.
Yeah, you're welcome to. You don't find anything particularly of note.
Okay.
'Cause
I was looking for keys specifically.
Oh.
No keys.
Yes.
Can we tell, like, how big is the servants' quarters? Like, can we get a sense of, like, how large the staff might be based off of these quarters? Is it, like, a butler and a head maid, or is there, like, a full staff?
There would have been a full staff. This place is large enough, and the vampires are pretentious enough
Mhm.
to keep a full staff of, if
Right.
not mundane people, then ghouls.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And do we see any? Can we take a few minutes and look around the rest of the servants' quarters and see if there are other bodies?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Taking your time as you're looking through the servants' quarters, you notice you don't find enough bodies to account for the
The full staff.
the full staff.
Okay.
But every single body is missing at either the full head, the top half of the head, or the front portion of their face.
Okay.
Ooh.
Every single one is completely drained of blood.
Okay. And are any more missing limbs?
Off and on. There doesn't
Okay,
seem to be
so-
any pattern with the limbs missing.
Okay, so the head is the important thing.
And these missing body parts, how have they been severed? Is it clean cuts? Is it mangled?
It's mangled, it's torn, some of the bits look like they've been chewed on.
Very unvampire-like.
That's what's throwing me.
Yeah.
Like, vampires don't kill like this. Even if they are newly formed. A newly formed vampire wouldn't have the capabilities to bite someone's entire head off. Or even their face.
Do you think it's something big enough to take the head off in one bite, or do you think they're going in for more than one chomp?
By the looks of these bodies, it looks like they're chomping in one bite.
Oh, you said there was bite marks.
Mm-hmm.
On, like, some of the other
The
wounds.
extremities.
The extremities.
Sure.
What
As
kind
you
of
start
bite
seeing,
marks
as you
does it
start
look like?
double checking the puncture wounds that were described
Perhaps
beforehand,
4 teeth?
they're always in sets of 2 or 4.
2 or 4.
Are they close together?
Yep.
In some sort of rodent-like shape? I think my idea is becoming more and more correct.
Gab's in a fucking 30s radio drama.
Does it look
Well,
like...
if... Oh, I was saying Elisha would speak up as we were traipsing around the periphery of the mansion and the servants' quarters, and would slyly mention to Mr. O'Neill, if there is this much carnage to be found so accessibly on the grounds and in the servant quarters, I suppose a man of your professional abilities would be able to find us a way into the domicile itself.
I believe I can definitely do that. Do the servants' quarters connect to the main house?
Yep.
Okay, so we can find that. Before we go in, I just want to
ask one last thing. The puncture marks on these, do they look like they were inflicted around the same time as like the beheadings and the gashes and stuff?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Okay. All right. Yeah. Can we find a way into the main house?
Well, I imagine it's through this door here, see?
Should we knock first?
I don't think that's relevant anymore.
No.
What's the where are we time wise?
Oh, for like
No, like in the fiction, like
In the fiction,
yeah.
you've made it far enough in you can't see the sun anymore.
Okay.
But none of the lights are on in the house,
Okay.
and it's gotten significantly darker.
Okay.
So while we are discussing this, I would circle back to the front of the house where Mr. Spearhofer is waiting with the Cadillac and have him bring it back around back to the servants' quarter area where we're trying to do our breaking and entering, and tell him to keep the vehicle running, and there might be a need for us to expediently get away. But then also tell him to keep his guards up and watch out, and to honk 3 times if he sees anything problematic. If once we go into the mansion itself.
So let's go ahead and start with you. Where can we find you?
Hey everybody, it's your friend Will Phillips. You can find me very creatively named on Twitter, and depending on the date you are listening to this podcast, possibly over on cohost.org, also as Will Phillips. Super hard to remember. You can also find everything you need for Hexingtide, my TTRPG of minimalist, monstrous role-playing, on hexingtide.com. That'll take you to my game blog, which has links to free pay-what-you-want downloads on itch.io, the Players group on Facebook, and, if I do say so myself, a very lovely curated Pinterest mood board. If you have any questions, any interests, would love to hear from you.
Amazing.
Love it. Everybody, go to hexingtide.com.
Do it.
Go to itch.io. Buy the game with real money. Support the artist.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Will. Thanks for coming on. Let's finish out our other plugs. What do we all want to plug?
I will plug I'm going to plug the table at Discord, as usual. Come
right.
join the Discord, interact with us. It's about the only place I'm any kind of social on the internet.
I have 2 plugs this week. One is if you like my sultry voice in your podcast receptacle holes, otherwise called your ears.
I appreciate you defining that meaning.
Yeah.
Confused.
We're going to earn that explicit tag. I have another podcast where I GM an evil D&D campaign set in a world where the Dark Lord won, and all of the main characters are entry-level employees of an evil corporation. It is called Lesser Evil, and it should be on your podcatcher of choice, hopefully. If not, by the time this drops, then shortly thereafter, so stay tuned. We're evil_pod on all the socials. The second thing, I'm a DM for hire now, y'all.
Yay!
I get paid to DM and stuff. If you would like me to run a adventure for you, check us out at Bad Wolf Adventure Studios in Twin Cities area, and you can engage my services. That's all.
All right. You got any plugs?
No.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to Table It. You can find us at micro_RPGs on Twitter, or email us at microrpgs@gmail.com. Our theme this episode is Chill Vibrant Jazz by Danny Dory, and we'll see you all for the next episode.
Yay!
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
I'm a whole ass angel.